Guys, what do you think? Do we need to have a self-defense class here at the University of Smooth? For now, I'm going to trust you to handle the physicality portion of the male protector algorithm on your own. Returning today to that age-old paradox, why is it that women find male violence so arousing when they are simultaneously seeking protection? In our first segment, we talked about the fuck or flight response. This is the heavily skewed towards desire portion of a male-female relationship. But most of us are aware that there is another big, huge chunk of your relationship with a woman that involves long-term security. The logistics of getting through life together takes place over the course of months, weeks, years, decades. What do you need to know about how violence factors in to this portion of a relationship? Honestly, it doesn't. So we don't offer long-term relationship advice on this channel. We've said that over and over again. But there's some meat on this bone that will help us understand the distinction and will help us have a broader view of how men and women relate to each other. So the things that make a woman desire a man, viscerally desire a man, those are unrelated to the qualities that she is looking for when it comes to long-term security. You know what those qualities are. We file them under convert your talent to clout. That's the basic message of develop your career, acquire some status, and yeah, if you acquire a fuck ton of status, then maybe you will stoke some desire in a woman. But if you have a manageable amount of status, you have a steady income, a good job, that makes you a pretty dang good long-term relationship prospect. It is unrelated to the visceral desire a woman may feel for a man. A woman wants both in the same man, just like a man wants both in the same woman. A beautiful woman who also he can navigate life with. It is an ideal. I think it's rare that you see it. How do you reconcile these two separate concepts? Let's think of it from the perspective of a young woman. This really illustrates the distinction. A young woman is a master at fuck or flight. She has a very persuasive body. She can persuade a lot of men with her high levels of fertility. That's a beautiful woman. Guys will go crazy to get access to a beautiful woman. So what ends up happening? That woman can maximize the male protector algorithm. When she does that, she gets apex SMV. She gets the bad boys really, really interested. She becomes aroused by the bad boys. If you are not already aware, women who are at their peak fertility, which is to say their early 20s, that are focusing all on looks, those women go after bad boys more than any other age cohort. The reason they do that is because they can. They have sexuality that is persuasive. As a woman gets older, she knows she cannot compete with her sexuality in the same way, so at a certain point, she doesn't even try. The other thing that you need to know about why young women have a fundamentally different attitude towards the male protector algorithm than older women is because when you're young, you don't give a rat's ass about long-term security. It is absolutely fundamentally irrelevant to your life. You're young, you're healthy. It seems like this is going to go on forever. You don't have any responsibilities, and you may have quite a few different people offering to finance your lifestyle. So what do you care about long-term security? Eventually, though, time starts to assert itself against men and especially women, and priorities start to shift. A woman will often want children, most usually do, so that becomes a priority. She starts to make concessions for her preferences, she starts to have trade-offs, and then all of a sudden, she's in a long-term relationship with a man who she may value highly because he checks that box. He checks the long-term relationship, the long-term security box, and he does it well. But that does not mean she desires him. So even though we don't give long-term relationship advice on this channel, we impress upon you to know the difference. When you have this visceral, anxiety-inducing dynamic between men and women, which is based on a man having intense physicality, the capacity for intense emotional experience, emotional strength, taking a woman on a roller coaster ride emotionally, these things that are really inducive to desire, they are absolutely unrelated to long-term security, and these do not overlap. So you do not suddenly become more desirable by continuing to get through that checklist of life. That is a orthogonal relationship to desire. It means that the traits that you need to have, that physicality, that emotional strength, that ability to enforce boundaries and be unpredictable with a woman, those are over here. Those will cultivate desire in women. There's an art form to it. There's a consistency to being physical. There's an art form to being unpredictable. You have to do all of these things, and if you do them, you will maintain desire. Now, if you fail over here on these other things, you may find that the woman is eventually can't handle the anxiety and needs to get out. But if you can balance these two, she may be around for a long time. She may even be around for a long time if all you can do is all of the long-term security checklist shit to get through life, because she may enjoy you. She may love you for the fact that you do this. It doesn't make her want you, desire you, crave you, and want to jump all over you. Know the difference, and it's fundamentally important that if you keep going through life trying to qualify here, but not doing anything over here to stoke the flames of desire, that's not going to lead to her wanting you. These are completely unrelated. So now you know, when this threat that we categorize broadly under violence, which is really anxiety, which is really this unpredictable nature of dealing with a man who especially is in control of his body and his physicality and his life in general, that makes a woman nervous. She wants to be nervous. It is this implied threat of his ability to handle himself. We call it the capacity for violence because we're obviously not recommending that you spice things up by lacing up a pair of boxing gloves. Come on, we're all adults here. But understand the difference, know that dynamic, and you must cultivate both if you want more of a long-term relationship. You're gonna need those qualities, but we focus on helping make men more desirable because in our view, that is significantly more difficult for most men to trip that attraction trigger, and it is done through this process. It is not wholly based on violence, but you see how this goes downstream, and you see how at a visceral level, this operates on a completely different spectrum from this over here. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and don't do anything stupid out there. Take care.